So Rod mentioned this morning the peaceful transfer of power. To date, we haven't had any palace coups at ARA at least since I've been here, maybe even longer than that. But I want to invite Troy Johnson and Rod Wells, our outgoing and incoming chairman this year, to come up and make a few remarks. And Rod will lay out his vision for next year. We can thank Troy for the vision he's provided this year. Gentlemen.
Thanks, Darren. First of all, I'll keep this brief, but just make a couple comments. It's been an honor and humbling to serve as your chairman over the last year. I'm probably biased in this opinion. I've shared it before, but I think I'm in good company here by saying that our customers serve a noble cause. And when it comes to feeding the world, the U.S. agricultural industry, we still serve as a breadbasket to the world. Our farmers have a critical role in that. And I think each of us as retailers, technology suppliers, crop input suppliers, and others in the room, thereby extension also serve a noble cause. But that noble cause doesn't shield us from many of the challenges that we face from a regulatory standpoint, trade standpoint, and certainly from a profitability standpoint. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone in this room who has a role to play when you decide on an annual basis to write a check to the ARA. Each of us individually is not as strong in a silo in facing these challenges, but through collaboration, through our membership, our dues, and our participation in ARA, we are much better suited to meet those challenges. I think the value of an organization can be assessed by the people who are held up and recognized. And if you think of the people who were on the stage yesterday, Tim McCardle, lost my train of thought, sorry. Tim McCardle, Ron Farrell, the AGCO Operators of the Year. You think about the roles each of those people play in their companies, there's no doubt they make them better. You think about the role each of them played for the ARA, there's no doubt they make us better. And I would dare to say each of them also make our industry better. When I see the other members that I get to work with in the ARA board, I couldn't be more proud. And I also couldn't be more proud today than to hand over the gavel of leadership to another individual that I think someday will be recognized in this industry, just like Tim McCardle was yesterday. Rod Wells, congratulations. I'm proud to call you a colleague, and I'm even prouder to call you a personal friend. Congratulations, Rod.
Thanks, Troy. Please join me in thanking Troy for his dedicated service. He's been a great chair for ARA this past year. I'd like to give a big thanks as well to all the people that have served as chair before me. I came into this organization in 2009 as a director, and I'd be remiss, I'd miss some, so I'm going to not name them all, but certainly Troy and John Oster and Harold Cooper was here yesterday, Tim McCardle. If I miss somebody, I apologize, but they leave awfully big shoes to fill, and it's very humbling to be counted among them. It's really a great honor for me to serve as chair of the ARA. Thanks as well to the dedicated men and women who serve with me on the board. Many of them are here this morning. These folks dedicate time, and they're very talented, and they volunteer to serve for this organization and for our industry, and so thank you to my fellow board members. And then last but certainly not least, thanks to the folks that get it done for all of us every day in Washington, D.C., the dedicated and talented staff of ARA. And so, Darren, thank you and thank your staff. Your efforts on our behalf are most appreciated. So if you would join me in a round of applause for all the folks that I mentioned. You know, we've had some great successes over the past few years, but as many of you know, the headwinds facing our industry continue, whether that's issues of trade, immigration, nutrient and water quality, product stewardship. Darren shared some concerns with glyphosate yesterday, or just those that impact our freedom to operate. The ARA is here to serve all retailers and help defend our rights in Washington, D.C. with regulators and legislators. If you're a current member of ARA, thank you very much. As Troy said, you're the lifeblood of this organization. If you haven't yet made that step, I'd encourage you to join our ranks. You would be a great force multiplier for our efforts in Washington, D.C., so please consider joining if you haven't already. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that we're on the cusp of another huge election cycle. When we get here next year, we'll have elected a president, and so this is going to be a defining cycle. You know, things are very, very partisan. I don't have to mention that, and as you listen to the conversations on TV, folks are just at total opposite ends of the policy spectrum. And so I think it's even more important now than ever that we all get out at the ballot box, let our voices be heard, and support those candidates that do support our industry. If you've registered as a leader of industry with ARA, I appreciate that. If you haven't yet, I think they'll flash a URL on the screen where you can go and join to be a leader of industry, which allows you to make contributions to our PAC, ARA PAC, and so those dollars are critically important to helping ARA influence and shape policy and support elected officials in this coming election cycle. About a year and a half ago, it's been mentioned, the ARA board and constituents met to update our strategic plan. And so the session resulted in the identification of 5 key areas. Darren talked about several of those yesterday, but just to refresh your memory, there are public policy, member intimacy, membership, communications, and governance. As you heard from Darren yesterday, there's been quite a lot of progress made in all of these areas this past year, but I'll just touch on a couple that I think stand out. You know, we've continued our strong focus in the area of public policy. Now, as we survey members, this area comes back continually time after time as the critical function that ARA performs for all of you in Washington, D.C. to support your membership, and it's where we focus the bulk of our resources. I would tell you that, in my opinion, our public policy team is second to none. We have a very strong public policy team, and they're very well respected in Washington. We've identified areas and invested in our ability to communicate efficiently and effectively. You heard earlier from Melissa about our new website. I encourage you to get out and check it out. And if you haven't noticed, our social media quality and quantity of communication has increased dramatically over the last year. I would invite you, if you're not currently following Facebook on Twitter, LinkedIn, or Facebook, please do so. I promise you'll be well informed, and there's a lot of information that will come at you. We continually to actively develop new members and provide opportunities for current members to learn, network, share, and influence policy in Washington, D.C. And so please, if you know of someone that isn't a member, we'd be more than happy to engage, or if you could engage on our behalf, we need as many members as we can get. This past year has seen a lot of activity in the governance pillar, and so in February a task force was formed, a cross-section of retailers and suppliers, to explore the current board size and the makeup of the board and the executive committee. We instituted several of those recommendations here earlier this week that include the expansion of the number of retailer seats on the ARA board and executive committee. It didn't increase the size of the board, it just influenced the makeup a little bit of the board, and that'll be happening, as Darren mentioned, over the course of the next several years. The terms of the officers were changed to reflect more modern time with some of our sister associations, and so the chair and vice chair roles will now be 2 years instead of 1. And I believe these changes solidify the retail control of the association, and they still recognize a critically important component of our board, and that is our supplier members. They not only volunteer their time and talents, but they give great diversity of thought and support our organization as well. As was mentioned, Ian McGregor, Vice Chair, is currently heading another task force, and this group will focus on sustaining a strong and vibrant ARA well into the future. Finally, I'd like to reinforce Darren's previous comments related to our shared office space project and arrangement with TFI and CropLife. In my view, this project is just a great example of prudently shepherding the financial resources of our association so that ARA can remain strong and vibrant into the future. I'm looking forward to the next 2 years. Together we've achieved much, but we have much more to do. We must remain focused on growing our association, ensure that we meet the needs of our members, again, prudently manage our resources, and remain a strong and respected voice for ag retail with legislative bodies and regulatory bodies while communicating effectively to our membership. To that end, I look forward to meeting as many of you as possible. I think 2 years probably gives me a little bit more opportunity to do that than the previous 1-year terms. Whether you live in the north, the south, the east, west, whether you're a large or a small retailer, a cooperative, a large corporation, or a small independent, I'd really like to meet you, get to know you, find out what's troubling you, and bring that back to help ARA better serve your needs. I just conclude by saying on behalf of the board and the staff of ARA, thank you for your support of the organization, and we appreciate you being here and showing your support this week in New Orleans. Thank you.